Help me understand how, if you're supposed to be in the vibrational frequency of what you want, how do you live in the moment? How do you do those two things at the same time?
Well, that is the big question, isn't it? Because since most of you have trained yourself to be observant, and you want to be really, because savoring the conditions of your world is a delicious thing. But if you're savoring the conditions of your world, then you run the risk of running across some conditions of your world that don't feel so good. And that's really the point that you're making. How do you be in the world? How do you be in the now and remain in the receptive mode? And the answer to that is, you care about the way you feel. You practice the vibration of being in the receptive mode when it's easy, until that is the vibrational frequency that is most natural to you. And that will cause the observation of your world to be more pleasant. In other words, the better it gets, the better it gets, the better it gets, the better it gets. And then if there is an old issue, an old hot button that you find yourself observing, like Esther did, and subsequently led to a manifestation that she didn't really enjoy that much, because it's such a minor part of your experience, it doesn't throw you off kilter, because you know about the laws of the universe and you know what you've been doing. And most of all, you are able to make the association between what you've been thinking and feeling and what's happening. So you're able to just guide yourself in a more efficient way. And the operative word here is be more unconditional. Care more about how you feel than anything else. Care more about how you feel than anything else. And when you think about it, that should be easy, because everything you're doing is because you want it to make you feel better anyway. So, for example, let's take the subject of money, since it's something that's active, really active. And let's say that you have a need for a big improvement in your financial experience. Let's say that you need $10,000, and you need it now. So you can tell by the way we are presenting this that desire or idea is not coming out of your vortex right now. It's your awareness because of the trouble that you're in, let's say, the threats that somebody's making or whatever. Well, it is unlikely, in fact, it's not going to happen, that $10,000 or $10 million, whatever the situation is not going to show up in your bank account today. Not under these conditions. It just is not. It's not ready to pop. That's a vibration not ready to turn to that thing, not now. So that condition is not going to change right now. And if you need that condition to change before your emotion changes, then you're in a cycle of things not getting any better, because you need it to change in order for it to change, but it's not going to change because you need it to change. In other words, you're conditional in it. It's not going to change. It's not going to change while you feel like that. But you could, not right now in the middle of all of this, but you could get a good night's sleep. You could meditate. You could be distracted from your struggle and your trouble. And you could therefore allow your vibration to raise because you've been off that subject. You could find an emotion of prosperity, and you could find it right away. You could feel more prosperous today or tomorrow. You could feel more abundant about more things. You could find the emotion of that. And we want to call the emotion the unconditioned. We want to call it the feeling response, the response to your vibration. Here it is. Back on that leading edge again. We want to call it, I hope you're enjoying this leading edge place. I hope you're up for it, because you're taking us to new places. You all right with it? You've been to enough of the old places that you're ready for some of these new places? So this unconditioned is born from your inner being, who is an unconditioned. Your inner being is an energy, not a body. Your inner being is thought, not words. Your inner being is unconditioned, not the manifestation, which is conditioned. You're following us? So if you can find the unconditioned, if you can find the unconditioned, if you can resonate with your inner being about this and find that unconditional alignment, then off you go. It's like when you get in your car, if there's no fuel in the car and there's no combustion in your engine, you can sit there and sort of turn the wheel all day long, but if you don't have the fuel in the car, you're not going to go anywhere. You can put the battery in your contraption, but if the battery doesn't have juice in it, you can turn the on and off switch all day long and push all of the other buttons and nothing's going to happen. And so what we're talking about is hooking up to this energy stream, doing anything and everything that you can to hook up to it. And with humans who are so action oriented, you're going about it for the most part in ways that don't hook you up. And then you're trying to compensate for not being hooked up with action and words. And that's why you feel overwhelmed, and that's why you feel frustrated, and that's why things go more slowly for you. So now what? So now, what'd you come to talk about?
That was my big question. So what you're saying is you're saying that you need to find emotions that aren't necessarily attached to what it is that you want, but the essence of what it feels like to be in that space.
Yes.
Because it makes it conditional if you make it for that exact thing.
Yes. Because right now, your belief about that thing is part of the resistance that's on your path. So you can't think your way out of it. If you go to it and keep trying to figure a way around it with the beliefs that are there, all you do is add more, because law of attraction just adds more resistance to that. We've been saying for a while, and you're really going to hear it more clearly here than ever before. Let's say you have 10 subjects and 9 of them are really working well and 1 of them isn't working well at all. Well, most humans want to talk about that one thing that isn't working. But if you do get fixated on that one thing that isn't working, the other 9 start to begin to disintegrate too. Let's say you have 10 things that are important to you and 9 of them are not working at all, but 1 of them is. You could focus upon that one that is, distract yourself from the beliefs that are hindering, and because you're focused upon the one that is and the distraction from the resistance is now happening, now those other 9 begin to come into place. Have you ever fallen in love? Doesn't life just get better? When you have that thing that matters so much that you're focused upon, everything just gets better, doesn't it? Well, you've come a long way with us today. You are physical beings who would really rather talk about processes and what to do. And we are stubbornly not talking to you about what to do. We're talking to you about how to feel. We're not talking to you about how to get to where you want to be. We're talking to you about how to get to the feeling place, which is the reason that you want to get to where you want to be. And we are so sure that you have the ability to get there if you would stop doing that thing that is keeping you from getting there. And so really the message that we're giving you here today, and we're giving it to you with more fervor than we have ever given it to any group ever, is that we are imploring you to get out there and be nicer to yourself. Be nicer to yourself. Look for more reasons to find pleasure and stop trying so hard to prove your worthiness, which is, we love you so much, unprovable. You cannot prove your worthiness because every time you try, you disconnect from everything that knows your worthiness. Every time you try to defend, you disconnect from everything that knows your value, you see. So, what was your question again?
The question was about if you need to be in a frequency of feeling what it feels like to have what you want, how do you stay in this moment?
So now we want to say to you, you can't get out of this moment. You can't get out of this moment, but you've got a choice in this moment about the way you feel. So you just got to decide what thoughts feel the best and go there. And sometimes distraction is the best thought. Watch your children. They've got it down. You're trying to pin them down to something. I want to talk to you. Are you listening to me? Yes. Yes. They won't focus into that place that doesn't feel good till you wrestle them to the ground and tie their hands behind their back and really make the point, and then they'll go there with you if you're hard enough on them long enough, as you have gone with others in that way. Let's just talk about some things, because we can feel that you're ripe and ready for hearing some things maybe that you haven't considered before. So we're going to ask you a series of questions. Do you believe that action is essential to creation? All right, so we're going to say to you, action isn't the first basis of creation, but it does often help you finish off a good creation in a more pleasing way. Because the more action that you offer in an arena of no resistance, the more fun you're having, the more involved you are. It's like the difference between being a spectator and being a participant, of listening to someone sing or singing, of listening to someone else's ideas and you having an idea, being a participant in your own life experience. So we're going to ask you some more questions. So, is action essential to creation? It is, isn't it? Let's make it even clearer. Is action essential to robust, delicious, tactile, see it, hear it, smell it, taste it, touch it, creation? Yes, emphatically yes. What happens if you try to jump into action before you're in alignment? It doesn't work, does it? So it isn't whether action is good or not, it's when the action is best. Yes? So is action better when there's a strong need, or is action better when there's a strong desire? And by strong, do we mean painful or big? Can you feel the difference between a desire that is life-giving and exhilarating and a desire that is... We said to someone one day, we wanted to get them to talk about what they wanted, and we listed a few things to try to prime the pump. And she said, oh, I've already got that, I don't want that. I've already got that, I don't want that. And it was clear that she was associating desire with that feeling of not having. We're talking about feeling of pure desire being the feeling of anticipation, of knowing for sure that you can have this thing and you just figured out that you want it. That's that fresh desire. Do you remember that? We're asking you to go back a ways. Do you remember being a kid and wanting something and not trampling it to death with your belief that you couldn't have it? Do you remember those fresh desires? That's what we're talking about getting back to. We're talking about not jumping into action so fast, jumping into meditation more, jumping into lying in bed more and basking more, making lists of things that you appreciate more, or just having non-thought for no reason, doing more things that are pleasurable, listening to more music, finding more reasons to feel good, listening to more meditation CDs, finding ways to come into alignment with who you are, and then letting the desire be something that is born out of that, and then, you see. So here's some things that you could say to friends who are saying, what do you want? And you could say, which was one of the reasons that we appreciated our friend who came up with all kinds of desire to be in the chair, who had nothing to say once he got here. And the reason that he had nothing to say once he got here was, what we wanted to demonstrate with that is a lovely state of being for you to be in. Because often when you've got an active desire, you are not in the receiving mode. It's like the question is a different vibration than the answer, and the problem is a different vibration than the solution. And sometimes when you continue to ask the question and ask the question and ask the question, or solve the problem or solve the problem or solve the problem or solve the problem, you hold yourself out of the receiving mode. And so then how does that feel? That's what we want to call your attention to. How does that feel? So if someone says to you, what do you want? And it might be somebody that you've expressed many things that you want, so they know that there are these things that you've been asking for, and they also know that you don't have them yet, and they're asking you, how's that coming? How's that coming? How's that coming? What would you think when someone says, what do you want, of giving them the answer, sort of like our friend gave us earlier? My mind's blank right now. What do you mean? I mean, I'm not in the receiving mode, so I can't really tell you exactly what I want right now. Well, don't your needs let you know what you want? Don't you need a different car, or don't you need more money? Yes, but the distinction you want to say to your friend that I'm making, I am in the process of differentiating need from desire. I'm differentiating need from desire. And what I'm in the process of doing is conjuring desire. I'm putting myself in the best possible position for desire to be born within me.